This is the LowcoSports Lowdown podcast. Here are your hosts, Justin Jarrett and Wes Kerr.
Hey, we are rocking an intro now, buddy. We figured out how to get the intro going. Not figured out. I knew how to do it. It was just finding the time to do it and not think about it when we were about to go live. So we got ahead of the game here. Catching up. First of all, I'm Justin Jarrett. This is Wes Kerr. We're going to be joined a little bit later by Travis Reier, former Hilton Head resident and Alabama Crimson Tide reporter, who's going to talk to us a little bit about Nick Pringle and his big game on Thursday and the Crimson Tide going into the Sweet 16. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first things first, the heart of what we do is getting out to the games and seeing the competitions and, sifting through the stats and everything. So we'll catch up on where we've been, what we've seen. And, I got out to a bunch of stuff recently. Friday night, I got over to Hilton Head against Hilton Head Christian Baseball. That was a good time. Always a good atmosphere over there for the Lowco and Lowco games. Also saw a little bit of the soccer game. JP2 Hilton Head Christian boys got to capture Jackson Ogden, one of our favorites, scoring a goal. He had a hat trick and an assist. So huge game for him. Great to see coming off that injury in football season that kept him out for most of basketball. This weekend, I got over the track meet at Whale Branch for a little bit and got to see a bunch of the kids that we see play other sports and some track only kids compete. Unfortunately, no field events over there because of the rain Friday night into Saturday morning, but got to see the track stars show out. Really good 200-meter race with Janile Roberson and Darian Perry going head to head. That was awesome. And then got out last night and saw some more baseball and softball. Patrick Henry beating JP2 in the early game, and then I got over to Bluffton and saw May River sweep Bluffton in baseball and softball. Had a slugfest on the softball side. I got to see a couple tanks by Casey Lang and Alyssa Rose that were deep into the night, so that was fun. But where you been, buddy? What have you been up to since we last talked last week?
Yeah, well, I've been celebrating some birthdays with my family over the weekend, so kind of taking some time just to be with some good people, and but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to get back into heading out to cover some sport events. But it's been a fun last few days, and the actions continue to ramp up as we get deeper into the spring sports calendar. May River with some outstanding wins both in the baseball field and the softball field. As you mentioned, that girls team, they've been trending in the right direction these last few years, and bats have been coming alive. But I've been able to, continue to follow some of these teams, as well as tough weekend for USC baseball and softball, both teams in Peach Belt Conference Series, but competing hard. Unfortunately, not finding the results, but just great to see them battling and trying to, better themselves and transition into this new era, new phase. And it's difficult, not easy to make that full-fledged transition because the competition, the talent, it's another step up, and these players and these coaches are doing their best to, make that transition as quickly as possible, as seamless as possible. And I think they're doing a great job so far and trying to adjust to that next level of competition. So I'll have standouts on both sides, and excited to get back out there this weekend as both baseball and softball are back home for USCB. But yeah, once again, what a fantastic time of year. So much going on. And of course, we get to watch Nick Pringle compete in March Madness, which is so much fun, and Alabama really establishing themselves as a national title contender, as we'll talk about later. But yeah, it's been really fun, and I don't know if you're able to see any of the World Baseball Classic last night, but what a fantastic game between Mexico and Japan, and just the emotion, and it's just something special to see the game being played in an international arena, in an international setting compared to just Major League Baseball. Just the level of atmosphere and the level of the camaraderie and just the excitement of these players. I mean, they care about this. It's important to them. And you see that on the faces of these fans, on these players, and just the emotion on that call. I just got to see it when Japan walked off against Mexico. I mean, nothing like it. The excitement that they have for baseball is unparalleled. Obviously, we have a big passion for the game, but it's great to see the excitement from other countries and how much they love the game. So
yeah, it's I love it. I love the event. I mean, obviously, you've got some issues with injury risk and things. Altuve being out for several weeks, likely. Edwin Diaz getting hurt in the celebration. Obviously that stuff's going to happen. I do think it's really good for the global reputation of the game and popularity. Just to see, I mean, think about being a little kid in Japan or in any of these places, like in England, for example, when they got a win, who loves baseball, and you're like the only kid who really loves baseball, and you think, well, I can't be a baseball player from here. And then you see your country beat America, the country that invented baseball, or something like that. That's the kind of thing that really launches a sport in a country. And so, you think about our World Cup wins over the years and how much we made about what that was going to do for the future of the sport in our country. That's the same kind of thing in these places. So, I love it for the global growth of the sport and popularity. And I just love to see baseball. I mean, the greatest players in the world playing against each other, guys that we never get to see on the same field together.
Trout versus
Apples to
Ohtani.
apples. Yeah.
Trout versus Ohtani, and that's pretty cool. That's for Angels
That's
fans.
going to be amazing. That's going to be amazing. How about Ohtani, man? His competitive edge is up there. It's special. You can tell that he wants to win, and he has not had an opportunity to do that much in America. So, we'll see what's going to happen with his free agency situation. It's going to be the most interesting thing in the world. But speaking of which, free agency, I did see you shared something with me the other day that the Bills are maybe hot on Puna. So I know our Bills Mafia down here would be excited about that.
Yeah, still in the process of deciding where he's going to go in free agency, and sometimes it takes a while, for teams to work out those kinks and define, the in terms of cap space and everything that goes into free agency. It's a long process for these teams, and Puna, he's been taking it in stride. He's man, it's been great to follow his career so far, and this is what he was. His goal was set towards getting that big payday in free agency after these last few strong years in Seattle. And man, you just think of all the Bills fans over, especially at Hilton High School. Joe Clark, the baseball coach, and then Mary Beth Lyons, also a big Buffalo Bills fan. So that would be cool to see him over there in Buffalo, and just because of all the fan support here. But man, I mean, to be on a Super Bowl contender and be a great fit in the middle of that defensive line, it could be a fantastic match and a fantastic fit for Puna Ford long term.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you want more on the day-to-day, you can always check out Last Night in the Lowco every day on the news at 5 on WHHI or over on our YouTube channel, which you've probably found if you're watching this. And you can catch up with the day-to-day sports news. We got all the scores in the ticker and all the biggest news and highlights in there every day. But we go a little bit deeper on here. So, Wes, let's get into some of our talking points here before Travis Reier jumps in with us momentarily. We did release, finally, we were able to get it together and pull it all together, the All Lowco football team. Lots of moving parts to get that thing published. Took longer than I would have liked, but we got it out there. We honored the top players in the area. And, we, of course, there's some questions about why this guy wasn't higher or that guy wasn't higher, but we did the best we could, and you got to move somebody down to move somebody up. So I think we did a good job. People seem to be excited about it, and, always happy to be able to do that and shine a light on these guys.
Yeah, and it's so deserving for these kids. I mean, this is what they work hard for, to be recognized on a big stage like this, and it's just great to see them get that honor after all that they've put into these last few months of playing high school football, practices and games. And I mean, it just lights these faces up of these kids after, they get to see their name on this list, on this website, and just is so well deserved for these guys. And running through quickly the top honorees for the South Carolina High School League, your overall player of the year is Colton Ferris from the state championship, Beaufort High Eagles. Very, very well deserved. He was, I believe, in my opinion, the guy who put Beaufort over the top with his exceptional ability in those punt returns, but also that tremendous defense over in the secondary. And, he became a huge part of that run game as well, alongside Casey Fields. And Fields, your offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, Chris Marable, Hilton High School. And then, of course, obviously, your coach of the year, state champion Bryce Lyron over there at Beaufort. Then the skis aside, Christian Tilton, your overall player of the year, sensational season at JP2 at quarterback and doing a little bit of everything over there in the center for the Golden Warriors. Cole Davis, fantastic season offensively, your offensive player of the year for college and prep. Anthony Fripp takes defensive player of the year honors at Thomas Hayward. And then Greg Langdale taking his college and prep Warhawks all the way to the 2A state title game, earns coach of the year honors.
Yep, and there were some tough picks in there for sure. I think the Skiza side was difficult just because those guys almost all play both ways pretty significantly. So it like Fripp, he is a tremendous defensive player, but he also was a solid offensive player. And, you had Antonio Banner in the mix there too. It was kind of splitting hairs over there. I thought it all fell into place pretty easily on the high school league side. As far as the superlatives go. And then, of course, you go down the list and you get into the first team versus second team and second team versus honorable mention discussions. And you're really splitting hairs in a lot of instances. And we do the best that we can, but we can only put one guy on each line. So absolutely, more than ever with the number of schools we cover, it is an honor to make it on the list at all. And not really a slight to not be on it. It just means that, that's where the dividing line fell. And hopefully it's motivation for those guys to get in the weight room and get out there and train this summer and come back stronger in the fall and try to move up on that list and maybe even take one of those top awards. So, certainly we want it to be a celebration of the success and a motivation for the players and certainly not a negative toward anybody. It's all about positivity and shining a light. So congrats to everyone who made the list. If you didn't, we'll see you on there next year. Get to work. Got lots of work to do, but let's talk a little bit of basketball because we will be releasing our all Lowco basketball team soonish. We need to get on the ball with that. No pun intended. But we do. I know one guy that's going to be on there for sure is Michael Dennison, and he played in the North-South game this weekend. So last big time competitive basketball game, I guess, for Michael, unless he changes course at MIT and decides to be a two-sport guy, but he's going to play football up at MIT. And what a pleasure it's been to cover him, watch his career, and interview him a couple of times as well, because he is a tremendous young man.
Yeah, fantastic honor for him to be, awarded a spot in this all-star game. And, it's been, like you said, echoing your words for him, just a terrific young man on and off the court, on and off the field. Academically talented, but also his leadership and his athleticism on the field has been really fun to watch. Of course, a huge catalyst, leader of that football team, guiding that Eagle squad all the way to the state championship game and winning it. What an awesome feeling that must have been for him. And, his presence over there on that line was so critical, obviously making to play the tight end, but also the blocking to be able to ignite that run game was so important. Then over the basketball court, what a tremendous run that he orchestrated. He took over in the playoffs, rebounding abilities, getting those second chance points, and just that defense blocking a bunch of shots. He was just tremendous over that 3-game run. I was able to go out over there at Ladies Island, and just the energy that he showed on the court, and once again that leadership and that willingness to find a way to win. We saw that with him through his entire career at Beaufort High, and we've talked about championship culture. He did a lot to build that and now maintain it. So going to be a huge loss. Those two brothers, Michael and James, have done a lot for Beaufort High over the years, and will definitely be missed going forward. But new chapter now as he gets ready to head over to MIT and continue his football career.
Yeah, and you got Allison Dennison now playing on the girls' team, and I think she was just a freshman this year, and she's a nice, athletic, tall girl. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of her before her time is done. We're not done with the Dennisons yet. And then one other bit of basketball news before we get Travis Reier in here: Dior Shelton hitting the transfer portal. So a couple years at Claflin, she's looking elsewhere. I anticipated this might happen just because, she's a pretty high level player. I think she's very competitive, and I think there was always going to be a little wondering if maybe she could, maybe find do more at a different level or in a different place. And, so wish her the best in the transfer portal. I'm sure she already has some places in mind that she would like to land, and we'll definitely have to catch up with her and as soon as she finds a landing spot. But excited for her to find her next home, and I think she's going to be an impactful player wherever she goes. The way she plays defense, the hustle plays, she's going to be a factor.
Yeah, it was really fun to watch her career Hilton at Christian Academy, and she was obviously a big factor of how that team was able to go on that run, become that dynasty, and win those state titles. And you mentioned that hustle, especially on defense, was really where she made her mark as a high school basketball player, and carrying over that concept over to the college game and hustle, those plays that don't end up in the box score. We talk about how important those are all the time, but she's become a valuable component of this Claflin team, and she thinks now she can have the ability to take her game further into possibly a bigger school. So definitely an exciting time, and I think we see this from a lot of different athletes that you get your feet wet, and then you get the opportunity via the transfer portal to to find a spot that might be a better fit or more of an opportunity for you down the road. And she's definitely earned that by the start of her career so far over at Claflin. Has been a solid contributor offensively, but once again, with that rebounding and just that hustle and strength on defense, really been a big factor. And, kind of a good segue to Nick Pringle, because, another guy who kind of has extremely taken advantage of his opportunities, but, that same concept of playing hard, tough defense, being scrappy, making a bunch of plays defensively. You kind of see that a lot with Pringle as well. And now he is writing a heck of a script right now as he gets ready to compete in the Sweet 16.
How about that segue? He is, he really is. He's a grinder, and defense always travels. But great segue to get Travis Reier in here. So let's bring him in. Travis, former Hilton Head resident and now Alabama Crimson Tide beat writer, and so thanks for joining us, man, to talk a little bit about our guy Nick Pringle.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Anything Wes Kerr asks for, he gets. So that's all it takes. That's my guy right there.
Yeah, fair enough. He's my guy too. I'll do anything for him as well. But so tell us a little bit about what you've seen from Nick Pringle this year. Obviously, we've been watching him for a long time and watched him develop into the player that he is now, and go on a wild journey of Wofford and then out to Dodge City and out to Alabama. And what have you seen from him this year, and how much have you gotten to interact with him and get to know the person that he is?
Yeah, he is just a physical presence, I think, is where it starts. At 6'9", 220 pounds. He already looks like a pro, and he's been around, as you said. And, his minutes have been a little bit limited this year. Alabama is the beneficiary of great depth, starting with their front court of Charles Bediako and another South Carolinian, and Noah Clowney from the upstate. Spartanburg. He's been just tremendous as a true freshman at 6'10". So, once you get beyond those two guys, though, having a Pringle, having a Noah Gurley that you can turn to for important minutes, valuable minutes. And when Nick's had the opportunity, as we saw in the opening round game against Texas A&M Corpus Christi, and he's capable of going for a 19 and 15 in just 20 minutes. He's done that a couple of times this season, and looked like his role was starting to expand heading into the tournament. Gurley started playing better. So they kind of split that a little bit here of late, but regardless, the future is, I think, very bright for Nick.
Was there a time this season when you start to really think that he turned the corner and transitioned into that junior college player to, growing into this big time role at a top Division I school?
Yeah, Wes, he had some performances against Georgia and LSU in the regular season where, again, efficiency, both as a scorer and a rebounder, was very much on display. So it did feel like over the second half of the regular season, he was starting to become that third guy in the post to support Bediako, to support Clowney. And I still think he's a legitimate option, but they've got Gurley playing at a higher level now. What you like about Nick is, you're getting energy. If nothing else, when he comes into the game, he's going to give you that on both ends of the floor. I think he's shooting 87% from the field, which, as we know, Nick's specialty isn't exactly the three-point shot. So it's a lot of touches, not only in the paint, but he gets his hands on the rim a lot. So that helps. Not the best free throw shooter in the world, but with their style of play, whether it's in transition, they love to push the basketball, or in the half court, because they love that high screen and roll game. And then they put you in that bind. If you try to go switch it or play it straight up, now you've got a Javon Quinterly coming off the screen, pressing towards the paint. Here comes a Pringle or a Bediako or a Clowney for the lob. And we know he can handle that part. I think post defense, it's still something that's a work in progress for him. He fouls at a pretty good rate. That's not all that uncommon. So when you think about moving ahead, that would be an area where I think he certainly has room to grow. But just his energy, he seemed like a really good teammate, because whether he plays 3 minutes a night or 15 minutes or 20 minutes a night, he is an animated dude. He pulls for his guys, and it's not for show. And so to this point, I think this newcomer class that Nate Oates brought in, well, they knocked it out of the park, because you're talking about Brandon Miller, Jaden Bradley, Ryland Griffin, Clowney, and Pringle. I mean, a 5-man class where you hit on all 5 in year one, you don't typically see that. Even from the Kentuckys and the Dukes, you don't see that. So they definitely hit it with these guys.
Yeah, no question. I love what you said about Nick's, prowess as a teammate, because that was one of the things, and I've said it numerous times this year, but early in the season he looked a little bit lost, and he was kind of finding his way. But even when he wasn't on the court or when he wasn't playing well, you'd see him. He was the biggest cheerleader on the bench, huge smile, hyping guys up, and that's when I knew, like, okay, he's going to be okay. He's in a good place. He's going to figure this out, and obviously you saw him do that as the season went on. Obviously the big story around this team right now is the off-court stuff. And, we've known Nick to be the kind of guy who's really level-headed and keeps himself above the fray and things like that. But certainly there's a lot going on there. And what's your take on how the team is managing that? And, obviously I guess there's not going to be any kind of resolution between now and the end of the tournament, most likely. But where do you see, this going and how it plays out?
Well, first and foremost, just an absolutely tragic and senseless situation involving the untimely passing of Jamea Harris. I mean, that's obviously where it starts. And while Alabama hasn't always been as good as it would like to be in terms of getting that point across, I know that it resonates significantly with Nate Oates and that team. So, and then you have the different layers to this situation. And really, since the incident took place in January, what we were hearing was, wow, there's more to come, and there's still a lot to sort through. And it was about that time where I took the stance of, I'm going to let this thing sort of continue to play out, because there was so much involved in the situation. And that's kind of what I think has come to pass. Obviously, when it became public knowledge that Brandon Miller and Jaden Bradley were there on the scene when the incident took place, the blowback from that and sort of the hot takes and everything that came from it, especially with Brandon continuing to play, was in full effect. And now in the last week or so, there have been more revelations about that night that are probably favorable to UA, Brandon Miller, and the situation on that side. But again, it still starts with, none of this needed to happen. I mean, it never needed to happen. And so that's what I continue to go back to. I mean, we can talk about what's still to come, and you're right. I don't see a resolution on multiple fronts. There are layers to this thing beyond just the criminal and justice system aspect that are still going to play out in the long term. So, it's an unfortunate, very unfortunate situation. I think Alabama has had the benefit or access to a lot of information going back to January that the rest of us haven't had. Mm-hmm. I understand the sort of, sensitivity, obviously, but the sense of the tragedy and the emotion that comes from that, and the immediate want for answers and the immediate want for consequences for anyone involved. But fortunately, we live in a place where there is a system that allows that to play out. And that's what you want for the Harris family more than anything, is it's never going to be whole again for them. It never will be. And for that 5-year-old little boy that doesn't have a mom anymore. But you just want this to play out in a way where they get answers and there is some consequences levied in some direction.
Obviously, just a tough situation all the way around for the program, but just reflect on how do you, as a player, as a Nick Pringle, as one of those other guys, how do you stay focused throughout all these distractions and just continue to do your part on the court and find a way to contribute for this team amongst the tough distraction of an incident like this?
Yeah, I think you guys know the team dynamic can serve as a sanctuary of sorts when you're going through this type of situation. You can't not be touched by it. You can't. I don't care who you are. But teams live in a vacuum. once you get in season, it's all about inside the facility. It's all about inside the team plane, the team hotel, the locker room. So I think in some ways, I wouldn't say they've been motivated by the situation, but it's where they have they find the most peace, I think, from all of this is when they're in the facility, when they're on the floor. So they've responded from a basketball perspective about as well as I think you could expect. I mean, the number 1 overall seed playing at a high level. And again, though, there's that sensitivity of needing to acknowledge the tragedy that's going to be attached to this team. I mean, that's the reality of this. No matter how this plays out, no matter if Brandon Miller, it proves to show that he was not a true participant in this situation, it's still going to be assigned to this team. Kind of like COVID a couple of years ago with sports. For this Alabama team, this will always be a part of a big part of the narrative.
Yeah, it'll always be there in the footnotes for sure. And people keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. I think a lot of pundits I just can't see Alabama making it through, this whole run without it becoming an issue. And I don't know, man, it's been at the forefront for 2 months now and they haven't really stumbled. They've seemed to, like you said, there's a bond there that adversity comes in a lot of different forms and the best teams are able to bond together around it and pull each other through it. And they seem to be doing that so far. So, I think they got a great shot to keep it going, but to get it back to Nick a little bit, where do you see him? They have so many interchangeable parts, but how do you see him as a prospect at the next level? Obviously he's got an NBA type body and has the ability to carve out a role there. You think he's a guy that plays professionally?
Yeah, professionally, I don't have any doubt. Nick Pringle will play somewhere. It may be overseas initially, could be the G League, but he has those physical attributes that you're more than willing to invest in from a time perspective, certainly. So he'll have a path, no doubt, to a nice career in professional basketball. He is twitchy. He's a guy that, again, brings energy. He could be like a Rodman type when you get him on the glass and you get him on the defensive end. He's still got, again, more so in the post, he's got some things to clean up both offensively and defensively. But if you want to push the basketball and you want to get it to him in that screen and roll game and have him work the glass in some important minutes, he definitely will do that at the next level.
Impact, high energy player, definitely a spot for him when you look at potential opportunities at the next level, whether it's in the league, whether it's overseas, because we've mentioned and we've have a couple Lowco kids who have gotten the opportunity and just players in general coming from the college ranks. Of course, Ryle Owens now continuing his career in Europe and doing some great work over there. But going back to this Alabama team so far, very, very impressive first 2 wins. Just take me about what highlighted the most for you throughout their first weekend of the tournament.
Yeah, Wes, I think they showed in those wins that if they make threes, they can score in the 90s. And if you run them off the 3-point line, like Maryland did in the round of 32, they're still good enough defensively on the glass and also at the free throw line that they can beat you by 22. That Maryland game felt like it was really close throughout the game. And you look up, it's a 22-point game. And you go to rebound differential where Alabama's ranked highly all season. You go to the 21 free throws they made against Maryland. I think Maryland made 12. Second chance points, they led that by 12. You start adding all those things up. You look at the 6 3-pointers for Alabama in the game. You go, well, they can beat you in multiple ways. So, and I think they're going to probably need to do that again coming up against San Diego State. And this is a game where I could see Nick being a factor because it can be that kind of grinder. Defensive basketball is going to be at a premium. San Diego State, very good on that end of the floor. In some ways, a veteran team. So you're going to hear comparisons between San Diego State and Tennessee as we move through the week because Tennessee gave Alabama fits up in Knoxville. So on paper, it looks very favorable to Alabama. I mean, if you drew it up like this before the tournament, I don't think Nate Oates could have not liked it much more than he likes this setup. But history tells us that between these 1 or 2 games in Louisville, Alabama's going to be put to the test at some point. It's not just going to continue to be this golden road to Houston, I don't think. So whether it's San Diego State or if Alabama gets through that one, even Princeton, stylistically, Princeton's not a team you want to see this time of year. I equate Princeton to kind of like academy football on offense, like you talk about difference in styles with Alabama. That could potentially be it. And even Creighton, Creighton's kind of an under the radar team from a very good league. Yeah. And, there's some history there with Creighton in the NCAA tournament too.
I think all 3 of those are actually tough matchups stylistically for Alabama. I mean, they could run them out of the gym, but they could also frustrate the heck out of them. I'm a Mizzou guy, so I watched Princeton just carve us up like a Thanksgiving turkey. It was wow. It was clinical. It was painful. It was painful. I think San Diego State's defense is tremendous. Like you said, they're a really active team and veteran leadership. And then Creighton's a problem. They're really a problem. So, I like Alabama's chances to get to the Final Four still, but they're definitely going to be tested, like you said. And we hope to see Nick called upon and asked to help carry him again, because that was really fun seeing our guy getting interviewed post game on the court, March Madness, all that stuff. All over social media, good stuff. But good to have another guy from the Lowco out there looking out for him. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, we appreciate you guys, and I appreciate Fiesta Fresh always. So, I caught up with Wes's dad, Marty, there on our last visit to the island, and man, that place in and of itself is enough to get me back. But appreciate you guys having me.
And before we let you go, big congratulations to Savannah heading back to Hawaii and winning that conference tournament, the women's basketball team.
That was awesome. Yeah, they had a great run through the Big West tournament. Stayed on the road for 14 days because they went from Vegas straight to Baton Rouge to play LSU. So she was happy to get back to Honolulu. But always appreciate it, Wes and Justin, and really appreciate the work you guys do. I would certainly encourage everyone in that area and beyond to get involved. It's a precious resource, and we need more of it. So good to you guys.
Thanks a lot, Travis. We appreciate you, man. And we'll hopefully talk to you, Final Four week and talk about it again.
Sounds good. Anytime. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'll let Travis go and we'll hear from some sponsors, and then we'll be right back with more here on the Loco Sports Lowdown Live.
Hey, Loco sports fans. This podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of Loco Sports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Loco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of Loco Sports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of Loco Sports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of Loco Sports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Loco Sports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of Loco Sports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of Loco Sports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Lowco sent you, because every referral helps support Lowco Sports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Lowco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of Lowco Sports. They sling some of the best pies in the Lowco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of Lowco Sports. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of LowcoSports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of Lowco Sports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Lowco.
All right, Wes, thanks so much to all of our sponsors. They truly are the people who keep this going. They make this possible. We need more. We need as many as we can get so we can keep building this thing up, add some more structure, some more foundation to it, and continue to scale up and do more to shine a light on our teams and our athletes here. But we're doing the best we can with what we got right now. And let's talk a little bit more about some stuff and then get into our shout outs before we wrap things up. Bennett Romer, May River Shark alumni up at Newberry. We've been talking about him weekly now, it seems like, because he keeps getting dubs. He got another win on the mound for the Wolves this weekend in conference play. Really impressed with what this guy has molded himself into.
Yeah, I mean, he's carved himself a heck of a role at the college level. And, we saw a lot of positive signs during his career at May River, but, he's really elevated things as he has moved on to Newberry and has become a huge part of the Wolves' success this year on the baseball diamond. And we keep having to shout him out because he has been impressive once again. Third conference win on the mound for Bennett Romer as he continues his spectacular campaign early on here in 2023, picking up the victory in a contest against UVA Wise. And just so many good things to say about the way that he approaches his starts on the mound. And another solid, goes 6 innings, strikes out 4, 1 run, 3 walks, so a quality start for Bennett Romer on the hill. He has really looked the part so far early on in his career at the college level, and just, it's awesome to see. Alongside Darren Horn, those May River Sharks are doing pretty well this year, especially on the mound here at the college level. And when you produce at this level of college baseball, it puts you in a great position to continue your career going forward, no matter where you are, because hitters are talented from top to bottom, whether you're playing NAIA, Division II, Division III, Division I ball. There are going to be hitters that will test you. And so far, he has looked the part. 2.05 ERA through 6 appearances. He started 4 games and 5-0 on the season. So what a spectacular start to his campaign. And 39 strikeouts to 11 walks, doesn't give up too many free passes. Command has been excellent, and I'm so excited to see what he does the rest of the year because he is looking the parts of a successful college pitcher here over at Newberry.
Yeah, and I think the next guy from May River's coming up the pipeline with Tyson Brasington, who's going to Charleston Southern. Still young, but man, he is really throwing it well. He pitched really well last night against Bluffton. So May River doing something right over there, developing those baseball players for sure. All right, Wes, one thing left to do, and that's get into our Loco shout outs, and you get the first crack. So who we shouting out today?
For my shout out, I'm gonna go with my man Peyton Bullock over at Hilton Head Prep with a 3-hit shutout to defeat Hilton Head Christian Academy. So a big, rivalry region win as well for Hilton Head Prep Dolphins. And I got to see Hilton Head Christian Academy in person against Bluffton, and those bats looked solid. But to be able to shut down a team and shut them out like that, Peyton Bullock, really, really impressive work on the mound for Hilton Head Prep, and that could turn to a nice little rivalry here. I think Class 3A. You can see how well both these teams do as we're still early on in the year, but both have shown that they've got some talent to compete in that classification. So that's a big-time win for Hilton Head Prep, and excited to see how both teams will go on from that and continue their season, because it's fun to watch. Steel Bird over there, Peyton Bullock as well over on the Hilton Head Prep side. A lot of talent on both those squads. So looking forward to continuing to watch those teams. And then for my team of the week, I'm going to stick with my Hilton Head High lacrosse girls, who just keep picking up some dominant wins. They just defeated May River by a score of 20-2. Hilton Head High lacrosse rolling so far. 4 goals from 3 different Seahawks. Lily Friday, Sophia Cavano, and Maddie Massey with 4 goals apiece. Cavano leading away with 4 goals and assists for 5 points on the night. And then Markowitz also with 3 points on a goal and 2 assists. So the offense has been churning. A great contribution in ground balls from Lily Markowitz, who led the way with 6. Ashley Ames, Olivia Costello also showing out in that department. And then goaltending has been strong as well. Rel Stracco making 4 saves. So excellent work all the way around here from this Hilton High lacrosse team. And, these girls, they've been on the precipice of a big run these last few years. We saw them get to the semifinals in 2021. And Kara Cook's done an excellent job leading that program so far. And I expect this strong season to continue there for the Lady Seahawks.
Yeah, I really like what Kara's done there. I mean, she seems to have just created a really warm, welcoming, fun environment where she gets kids out, and maybe they have experience, maybe they don't, but they've got some athleticism, they've got some ability, and they're doing a good job of teaching the game, at least on a level that makes for a very competitive high school team. So I think she's doing a terrific job there. Every year it seems like they have big numbers out and have a lot of players contributing. So you love to see it. I mean, that's what high school sports are all about, right? Is opportunity and growth and being in a good, positive team environment. So shout out to those girls doing good work. I'm going to give a baby shout out to the other half of the battery last night for Hilton Head Prep, because our boy Jackson Stanyard, there was not a lot of offense in this game, but he was 2 for 3 with a double, a homer, 2 runs, 2 RBIs in a 3-0 game. Like you said, that's a huge win for Hilton Head Prep, because they had lost back, both ends with Patrick Henry, and you were starting to kind of maybe wonder if Hilton and Christian was going to take the mantle as far as the 3A teams here, but not so fast, my friends. Chris Wells still got a few tricks up his sleeve. They pulled it out. So, but my true shout out individual is going to be Casey Lang, May River softball. They haven't really played much this year. They played that preseason tournament, and then they kind of laid low for a while. Coming out swinging in region play, though, 15-11 win over Bluffton last night. Casey Lang was 3 for 3 with a double, a monster home run. I haven't gotten it off my camera yet, but it'll be on WHHI on Last Night in the Loco today. It was a mammoth blast. Unfortunately, I missed Alyssa Rose's shot into the night. I was out of battery at that point, but they went back and forth. And Olivia Nagel did a great job too. 8th grader coming in. 8th or 9th grader coming in and shutting it down after she struggled with her control in the first inning. She came back in and finished it off, and they got the dub. So that was a big one. Back at the tank for a rematch at Landshark Park on Wednesday. And then for my team, I got to go with the Hilton Head High baseball team. They've been really rallying, man. They had that loss to Bluffton a while back in that Woodland tournament, and they've just been rolling since then. I really like that team. They beat up on Hilton Head Christian the other night, albeit Hilton Head Christian was pretty shorthanded, but pitched it really well, played good defense, swung the bats well, and then they just whooped up on Colleton last night, 10-1. Ethan Russo is a really dangerous power bat in the middle. They got Slater Alsobrook, just a sophomore at the top of the lineup, doing a great job, as well as Brad Larson, Connor Wendell. They've got some really solid young players. Jason Bybee out there, Jackson Bybee as well. They've got some good athletes, some good ball players, and I think they're going to be a real factor in what is shaping up to be a pretty wide open and really strong top to bottom Region 7.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting once we get full-fledged into region play. Hilton Head will open with May River on the 27th and 29th of March in terms of region play, and then Bluffton. So 4 huge games right out of the gate, big rivalries with May River and Bluffton. That's going to be a big litmus test to determine how well they're going to fare here in this region. Of course, you get to James Island there at the end, who's been the gold standard so far this year, and really these last few years in baseball at that region. James Island, of course, beat Buford a couple of years back to get to the state championship series. So they have been at the top of this area of baseball, but we'll see if one of our teams, and I think we've got a couple that could really challenge them this year. So I'm really excited. Both baseball and softball, the parity in 7-4A is going to be really exciting.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, that May River Bluffton game last night was any indication. It's going to be fun because Colleton, I think, is going to be a factor as well. And then James Island is always pretty good. So Hilton Head a little down this year on the softball side. They're definitely missing Reagan.
Marchant.
Yeah, Reagan Marchant was a little bit of a difference maker. That's why she's at Carolina now. And then, I think Lucy Beckham's not too strong either. So we'll see how it all shakes out. They're on the come up, but I don't think they're quite on the level as some of the others. But we'll see. Certainly, they compete in every sport every year, and they keep getting better in every sport every year, it seems like. So it should be a good time. All right. Well, what are we getting to tonight, Wes? What are you getting into, buddy?
Yeah, well, of course, plans? Tuesday and Friday is a big night for high school soccer here around the Lowco, and so I'll head back to the soccer, the football pitch in my. But no, I'm heading over to some soccer tonight. I'm gonna check out. I haven't decided where I'm gonna go yet. Either possibly, we got Colleton County. Maybe one of the boys and girls. I'll have to check which one is at home, which one is away. But maybe for Colleton on both the boys and girls sides tonight. Then we got a big one for Bluffton girls against James Island. Bluffton, that's a team that has been right near the top of region play. Had a tough loss against Lucy Beckham last week, 5-0. So chance to bounce back here against what's been a very strong Trojans team over these past few years. And then Hilton Head High against Lucy Beckham on the boys' side. So an opportunity there for a Seahawk team that has looked pretty solid so far. So excited to, I'm not sure which one I'll head to, but we'll decide soon in terms of where I'll be at tonight. But, it's hard. There's so many options in spring sports season. It's hard to just pick one because, we got baseball, softball, we got some boys and girls lax going on here as well tonight. Or that was yesterday, but still, a lot going on.
Oh, we got some tonight too. We got baseball and softball and soccer and lacrosse and tennis and golf today. We got
Magnet and then actually all May River. So yeah, we are loaded once again here as we get deeper into this spring sports calendar, and now we're really starting to get into the region play part, which always makes it more exciting because now you're competing for playoff spots and playoff seed, which just make it even much more fun and more exciting for everyone.
It looks like we do, in fact, have a soccer doubleheader at May River tonight. Girls at 6, boys at 7:30 with Colleton County. So that may be the move.
We could see 2-1 in the local and Lowco matchup.
Yeah, there you go. 4 teams in 1. I've got a rec softball game to coach tonight, so I'll be otherwise engaged, but I'll look forward to hearing your report on whatever soccer games you get out to, and certainly we'll be back out there Wednesday hitting it hard after I complete my coaching duties.
Yeah, and speaking on Wednesday, I'm thinking about heading over to watch some golf. The Prep Cup over at Longcove final round actually is in action today, Tuesday at Wexford, and they'll be out Wednesday for the final round at Longcove. So it's a big time high school Lowco golf happening as well.
on some big time golf courses too.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of beautiful places to spend a spring afternoon. That's for sure. Good place to be. But all right, yeah. So Wednesday we got another round of baseball and softball with the same rivalries we had on Monday for the most part, and then Thursday, we get it back into some soccer and lacrosse action, and then a very busy Friday night ahead. So going to be a busy week. We'll be back for another live show on Friday, and we'll line up a great guest for you so we can get you all caught up and give you some insight on something big happening here in the Lowco. But that is going to do it for today's show. For Wes Kerr, I'm Justin Jarrett. Thanks so much to our sponsors. Thanks to Travis Reier for jumping on, and thanks most of all to you for listening or watching. Until next time, go Lowco.